Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment it addresses the plague of crimes committed by illegal immigrants against U.S. citizens. Every day we can open a newspaper and read of a citizen whose life has been snuffed out or changed unalterably by the depraved crime of an illegal alien. I've estimated from data that's been provided to me that on a given day, as many as 25 Americans may die at the hands of illegal aliens. And I'd just give a few examples. The director of A Christmas Story, Bob Clark, was killed by an illegal immigrant drunk driver in Los Angeles in April of 2007. An illegal immigrant MS-13 gang member shot 3 students in Newark, New Jersey, execution style, in August of 2007. He was free on bail and was facing charges of aggravated assault and sexual abuse of a child at the time of the murders. An illegal immigrant from Mexico was arrested in January of 2008 after DNA matched him to a series of rapes of teenage girls in Chandler, Arizona. A 17-year-old high school football star named Jamil Shaw Jr., whose mother testified before the Immigration Subcommittee, was murdered by an illegal immigrant in Los Angeles in March 2008. He had been released from jail on an assault charge the day before he killed Jamil Shaw Jr. An illegal immigrant who had numerous past violent crime convictions savagely murdered Tony, Michael, and Matthew Bologna in San Francisco in July of 2008. The father and 2 sons were all shot while sitting in a car. Last November, an 83-year-old Lila Maziel was murdered in Wheaton, Maryland, by 3 illegal immigrants who beat her to death and burned her alive to cover up a check-writing scheme. An illegal immigrant gang member shot 14-year-old Ty Lamb in October of last year in Montgomery County, Maryland. Crimes committed by illegal immigrants are the most senseless, the most preventable, and the most depraved crimes of all. Why? Because no illegal immigrant should be in the country in the first place, Mr. Chairman. No illegal immigrant should have had the opportunity to commit their crimes in the first place. Had the federal government adequately enforced our immigration laws, American citizens would have been spared immense suffering. It is my hope that in the future the federal government becomes more adept at deporting illegal aliens before they commit crimes. Today, unfortunately, we usually have to wait until after they commit their crimes before any serious attempt is made to remove illegal immigrants. If many Democrats had their way, we would have never deported any illegal aliens until we have given them the chance to victimize Americans. They wouldn't enforce the existing immigration laws for illegal border crossing, for example. Today we're marking up the Local Law Enforcement Hate Crimes Prevention Act. What crime can be considered more hateful, more motivated by hatred, than the willful infliction of bodily harm on an American citizen by an illegal alien? To come as a guest to this country, even worse, breaking in as an uninvited guest, and then inflicting injury on your host is the ultimate in depravity. It signifies a hatred of America and a hatred of Americans. My amendment simply provides that when an illegal alien willfully causes bodily injury to a U.S. national, the crime shall be considered a hate crime and punished as a hate crime, Mr. Chairman. And I believe that that message is implicit in the crime itself, and I think it would send the appropriate message to our law enforcement officers who have been redirected now, if not by written policy, by the implicit messages that are through the media and through the discussions that they should now go down to the southern border, turn their backs on Mexico, and guard against legal American legal American guns, which become illegal when they cross the border into Mexico, rather than to enforce our borders, to stop the bleeding, and to enforce laws against these perpetrators. Every victim, every American victim, every American national who is victimized by an illegal alien is a victim of a preventable crime. These crimes are preventable, Mr. Chairman. They need to be prevented, and if crimes can be prevented, as the gentlelady from Florida said, by having an enhanced penalty, the enhanced penalty that would be if someone had perceived that another individual was of a protected group, and we could punish them because of the perpetrator's perception, wouldn't it be also a perception that an illegal alien has when he commits a crime against an American national? Would they not know that they are an American national just as much as someone who commits a crime against someone because of their gender or their gender identity, perceives their gender or their gender identity? Are we not perceived to be American nationals sitting here on this committee, and should we not be protected in a standard that is reflective of the spirit of this legislation? I'd urge adoption of my amendment, Mr. Chairman, and with time left, I would note, I yield back the balance of my time.
I thank the gentleman from Iowa, and I yield to the gentleman from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will insist on the point of order. This amendment is not germane to the bill, has nothing to do with the bill, in fact. The whole point of the bill is to enhance the degree of a crime when the crime is motivated by animus toward specific groups, toward people because of their religion, their creed, their color, their national origin, their sex, whatever. This bill has nothing to do with animus. It has nothing to do with a crime motivated by animus toward a particular group. There's no requirement for that in the bill. There's no requirement for that in the amendment, I should say. All the amendment says is if you're an illegal alien, you commit a crime against an American, you get a penalty, presumably an enhanced penalty. But it has nothing to do with the basic architecture or the thrust of this bill. And regardless of its merits, which I'd be interested in debating on some other bill, it is not germane to this one.
I thank the gentleman and
Mr. Chairman?
ask Mr. King for any response he would offer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would argue that it is germane to the bill. And even though Rule 16, Clause 7 prohibits amendments that are of a subject different than that under consideration, my amendment deals with the same subject matter as is in this bill. The underlying bill deals with so-called hate crimes, which includes crimes motivated by national origin. And I'd emphasize this national origin issue. My amendment also deals with crimes relating to national origin, specifically by including violent crimes perpetrated by illegal aliens against U.S. nationals who are mostly of national origin here in the United States, and identifies them as hate crimes. And for the gentleman from New York to argue that Americans are not a group, they are a group. In fact, Americans are the largest group. But I would expand this discussion a little bit, and I'm still curious about the definitions of some of the language in this bill that I'm not satisfied that I have heard. But if this legislation protects homosexuals, it protects people of specific has a crime committed against them because of their gender identity, then doesn't it also include heterosexuals as well as homosexuals? And I would presume that it does. And that's a fairly large group of people here in the country. And in fact, there may be more heterosexuals than there are actually American nationals.
Would the gentleman yield?
I'd yield to the gentleman.
I don't think we can yield during the on a ruling on a point of order.
Well, then can I be recognized?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the group of heterosexuals that are specifically, as we've had language here in our dialogue, that they would be protected under this same legislation if someone commits a crime against a heterosexual because of their perceived gender identity, then that is a large group of people that are protected by this legislation. Groups who are discriminated against specifically because of the group they are a member of. And I will argue that some crimes committed against American nationals are also committed because of the group that they are a member of. And I will submit, Mr. Chairman, that the group of American nationals is likely smaller than the group of heterosexuals we have in this country. And if the chairman rules against me on this, I'm going to presume that he believes it's the opposite. And I'd also urge that whether or not the chair believes that this amendment is germane, it is the votes have been there to vote down every Republican amendment that has been brought forward, and that may actually be a better course to follow if the chairman disagrees with my position, and I yield back.
Well, the chair is prepared to examine the point of order that has been made by the gentleman from New York and the response that the gentleman from Iowa has offered. And it has nothing to do with the way the votes have been cast in this committee up until now. And it has nothing to do with what I believe about the amendment. This is a parliamentary ruling. And H.R. 1913 deals with crimes of violence based upon a bias or a hatred against a group. The amendment that is before us now from the gentleman deals with crimes based on no bias whatsoever. That being the circumstance, as I examine this amendment, which deals in truth with victims of random violence, the amendment is not germane to the bill for the simple reason it would expand the scope of the bill to deal with a subject matter that was not originally included nor intended in the bill. And so, therefore, the point of order is sustained. And the gentleman's amendment cannot go further, but we would entertain him bringing forward one of the 12 others that he may have.